Welcome into another edition of Sports Junkies here at RacineSportsZone.com. I'm Steve Sparky, Fifer, host of the Wendy's Big Show weekday afternoons from 2 until 6 in the afternoon. Alongside me is our high school insider, Mike Big Time McGivern. Catch him on Friday nights on the Wendy's Varsity Blitz scoreboard show from 7 until 10 o'clock at night, and Saturday mornings from 10 until noon with the Wendy's Varsity Blitz coaches show presented by Pick and Save on Saturday mornings. Lots to get to. First, all we're going to do this week is something a little bit different than we normally do. There's no Gery Woelfel here. It's Big Time Mike McGivern. We'll get back to doing it the other way. I just kind of want to go by conference and look at the games that are coming up this week. Normally we review past games. I'm not going to do that as much this week. And just kind of look and say, okay, who are we surprised by? Who aren't we surprised by through the first couple of weeks? St. Joe's has a big game this week against St. Cat's. Let's face facts here. St. Joe's comes in at 2-0. St. Cat's comes in at 2-0. We just had Dan Miller, the head coach of St. Cat's, on last week on our videos, and it was a pleasure to talk to him. That's a big, big matchup. I don't know if it decides the conference, but it might.
You know, I think it probably does. I had a chance to see St. Catherine's play a couple weeks ago at Thomas More. And looking at their roster, it's 24 kids, 12 are freshmen and sophomores.
Very young.
And they were up 34-0 at the end of one. And so my wife and I ended up, I got text you and said, where should we go have dinner? Went and had dinner. Thomas More banged up a little bit, but St. Catherine's has some really good skilled players. They got a couple of kids on the line that are really talented. I've not seen St. Joe's play, but I think that this probably will go a long way to see who wins that conference.
Do you know what's scary about this for the Metro? If they're that young, how good are they going to be in 2 years?
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if Dan talked to you about this last week, but he had a number of kids decide not to play.
Yes.
And, you know, that kind of forced his hand to have to play some of these young guys. And I don't think it was something he wanted to do, but he was forced to do. He's a really good coach. And I don't know if he gets the kind of credit in this neck of the woods when you talk about the Homesteads and the Arrowheads and those teams, when you talk about their coaches. And he just quietly goes about his business. And I got a chance to meet him for the first time that day. I went down and introduced myself. What a nice man. You bet.
He's a great guy. And you know what? In talking to him over the last couple of years, he just really loves being at St. Cat's.
He does.
He just really loves the school, loves the kids, loves the situation that he's in. And every time I've done, he's never, because there's a lot of coaches in high school, man, I'd love to get to this situation. I'd love to get to that situation. And he's the guy that feels, I'm not going anywhere.
You know I sat with at that game?
Who?
Coach Letch.
Coach Letch from St. Cat's, my buddy!
Yeah, I introduced my wife to Coach Letch, and he gave me the same look that everybody does. How'd you do that? Well, just because I have a sparkling personality, I guess.
Yeah, that must be what it is. Another big game, too, this week. Racine Lutheran and Catholic Central going at it. Now, Catholic Central every year is going to bring it. They're well coached, and they've got some players this year. They've got off to a quick start this year as Catholic Central. They're 2-0 too.
In conference.
And Racine Lutheran is much better than they were last year. They've definitely improved from last year to this year. But this is another big game. It's another 2-0 team in conference.
You know, it is. And Racine Lutheran, different than I think of St. Catherine's or even of St. Joe's at times, where they're going to have their peaks and valleys because of the number of kids in their school. And there are times, and even on the basketball side, where they're loaded. And Coach Christensen does a great job on the basketball side. They will have their peaks and valleys because if they have a bad class, they can't just go, okay, junior class bad, we'll just pull from the sophomores, seniors are so strong. That affects them. And they've got a chance to do pretty well this year. I think Catholic Central, as always, as the year progresses,
gets better.
They get better.
Every year.
Every year.
I got to take a moment to say this right now because I want to be on the record. And we're doing it here so there's video proof of it, okay? I just want to be on record. From the first couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks of doing this here, I'm doing high school football, and I go off for Fox 6, so I talk to a bunch of the high school coaches, and then you have coaches on. I get a chance to talk to them, too, on your coach's show. Everybody tells me the same thing, Mike. Man, our freshman class is loaded. Man, wait till you see our freshman class get up to the varsity level. We're going to be good. If the freshman classes across southeastern Wisconsin are as good as what a lot of these coaches are saying, we could have an unbelievable amount of talent in the next 2 to 3 years to be watching on the high school football field. Because I think everybody agrees, maybe this year isn't the most talented group that's out there, but maybe a very talented group is like 3 years away.
And with football, it's kind of weird because some of these guys decide for one reason or another not to continue. And you're looking around here, and I'll use Milwaukee Lutheran as an example. Their quarterback last year as a junior he got hurt, but he was really good.
Right.
They spent the entire offseason putting their game plan together. He participated in everything. Their 7-on-7, their 5-day contact, everything. And the day before they opened camp, he came in and said, "I'm not going to play this year. I'm going to just concentrate on baseball." Their best wide receiver then came in and said, "He's not playing. I've decided to stick with basketball." So that's what happens as these classes start to progress. They start to lose kids, and it's really a shame. I'll tell you this: the behind closed doors, these coaches are getting nervous about it because their numbers are dwindling everywhere.
You know, the funny thing about that is, real quickly, since you kind of just are going to bring us that way, is the specialization of kids in a sport. But I don't know the specialization of a kid in baseball or basketball in that situation that you just brought up. And I don't know either kid. But is that a parent decision of, hey, look, Johnny, I don't know what the kid's name is, but look, Johnny, we can't have you getting hurt and breaking an arm if you're a pitcher in baseball. So let's just hold you out here and make sure we get that scholarship all wrapped up and you get your ride. Or basketball, hey, we don't need you blown out a knee. Right. You need that knee if you're going to be a point guard or whatever the case may be.
Well, what's really interesting, and you were just off the top of your head, but what happened in that situation is a young man was in Florida playing baseball and threw a no-hitter in a pretty decent tournament. And on the ride home, his dad said, "Look, this offensive line might not be, you got hurt last year," right. And so they decided not to play. And I think that does happen. Look, as an old coach, I always wanted kids to compete. And I didn't want them to get burned out in one sport. So my deal was play as many sports as you can. High school goes by so quick, and I want kids to compete.
Sure.
And I think if they compete in different sports, I just think they're going to enjoy the entire high school experience. And they're going to certainly build better friendships and learn how to compete in different areas.
And you and I have always been opposite in this fact. I believe if you're an okay player, play as many as you want. But if you're a top-level player and you've got Division I recruits coming at you from this perspective, and the rest of them you're really not getting much, your junior, senior year, I'd rather have you focus here and not get hurt playing something else where you don't have the look.
Quick story. Kwame Mitchell, when I was coaching at Dominican, he was a young man that Wisconsin was taking a look at. He ended up going to St. Louis University. We went up for a practice, him and I went up for a practice at Wisconsin and then to a football game. We got a chance to talk to Coach Ryan, and Kwame played football as sophomore and junior year, didn't want to play senior year. And we were in this meeting with Coach Ryan. I said, "Coach, what do you think of basketball players that play multiple sports, especially football?" And he said, "I'll tell you this, if I have two kids that are the same, grade point is great, basketball-wise they're the same, and I can offer one, I'm going to offer the kid who played football because I think they're tougher, and I want those kids to learn how to compete in different areas." So you know what, those guys look at that. They look at it, and I think that, again, we'll differ all day long.
Oh, we will. We have for years, and it's not going to change. Southern Lakes Conference, let's move on to there. I hate to say this to Coach Bakken. I'm shocked by Waterford. I am. I thought Waterford was going to be better than they are this year. At the beginning of the year, they start off, well, okay, here comes Waterford, and then they drop a couple games, and now I'm not so sure what Waterford is. And now remember, I mean, we both know this. I mean, Kerry Vinay has come in, the old Waterford coach, to help out with the offense, but they have struggled early.
They have, and the way they looked, we did the Thursday night game. It was a Friday night edition down Lake Geneva Badger.
On My-24.
In My-24 in Waterford. And defensively, Waterford looked great.
Every year they do.
Yeah, and offensively, it looked like they were starting to gain some traction. After that game, I talked to Coach Bach. He said, "Look, this is the best we've looked all year offensively, and I hope it continues." And obviously, they've taken a step back.
Yeah, and that's going to be something they have to overcome, because now you look at coming up this week, the different games that are going on, Burlington and Waterford. Burlington's another team. They come in, they change their offense. Really dramatically,
new coach.
And their whole offense is based around their quarterback. I mean, Their quarterback does everything. He runs, he throws, he's kind of like the Tim Tebow of Burlington at this point, and Waterford's going to have to control him. Now, meanwhile, Waterford has to figure out how they're going to score the ball on Burlington, and it's going to be fun because Burlington comes in at 1-1 in the conference, as does Waterford at this point. It's a big game for both of them.
Yeah, no doubt. And the only team undefeated, I think, in that conference is Elkhorn.
Right, and they get Wilmot this week.
They get Wilmot this week. And, that'll be an interesting match for them. That conference is up for grabs. It's
Yes,
not
it is.
where there's one or two teams. There's a number of teams. If they get hot, start playing well, they still got a chance to do some damage.
Yeah, Union Grove 0-2 in the conference. They get
Surprised
that one
by
there.
that.
Everybody is. I think a lot of people thought Union Grove was going to bounce back this year.
Right. And you know what? Being 0-2, again, with 2 losses, they need to start running the table.
Yep, so that's the Southern Lakes, and we'll see how that plays out going into next week. And now there's the Southeast. I am sick and tired of having conversations about this conference with people that know that I cover Racine Sports and do these videos here at RacineSportsZone.com. Can somebody in the city please get good at some point? Please. Please, I'm just asking, please, at some point, can somebody be good again? Because every time I talk to somebody on the sidelines, Sparky, you're doing those videos on the Racine Journal Times website. Yeah, they ever going to be good down there again? That's all I hear. The last time there was anybody of any decency, really, was John Clay Park. Now, Horlick's had their run here and there. Sure, fine, I get it. Case has been down forever. I thought Case had finally turned it around. Now they come back and they stumble the last 2 weeks. So as far as they came forward, they kind of went right back again. So they're back to where they were. Parks, I don't know how. I don't even know where I would begin to fix Park. I have no idea. But they got to win. They beat Case last week.
Right.
So maybe they're starting to turn that around.
That surprised you a little bit?
Yeah. I'm just surprised that Case has fallen the way they did the last 2 weeks. But again, you look at it now, they beat Burlington and Waterford to start.
Right.
Well, now it doesn't look like Waterford's as good as everybody thought it was.
Correct.
And put that in perspective, and then Burlington as well.
Look, Southeast Conference historically has been one of the top conferences. I don't know this year if that's the case.
Not this
Probably not. Kenosha Indian Trail 2-0, Franklin 2-0. Oak Creek is the team that everybody kind of thought was going to be the team to beat in that conference. They're 1-1, and I don't think they've been nearly as dominant as people thought they would be. Just because their offensive line is so big and they've got a really good running back, good skilled players. So the conference itself, I think, is a little bit down. Bradford, Tremper is 3-1 overall, but 1-1 in conference. So I don't know where they're going to lay. Their head coach had back surgery.
Matrice.
So he's going to be out, I think, for a bit. I'm not sure about that. But once it shakes out, you're going to be looking again at Franklin. And Indian Trail, I think, is a team.
But are the 3 Racine schools going to be all down at the bottom?
Yeah, they are. Yes. I believe that they will be. You should just talk about Racine St. Catherine's each time anybody brings that up.
Yeah, maybe.
Just say Dan Miller and
Just talk about St.
those Angels.
I don't understand it. I really do not understand. You cannot sit here and tell me that there is not a bunch of talent in Racine.
Well,
I don't buy it.
Can you?
You see it in other sports.
Well, let's talk to the city conference in Milwaukee, Spark.
So it's going that way. Racine is headed. Unfortunately, Racine is going that way if they don't figure it out.
Well, and here's look. There's going to be a year that all those kids are going to decide, hey, we're going to continue to play football because the youth programs up here. If you go to McGivern Park on a Saturday, it's packed. There's the Journey House. They've got a bunch of games going on too, and that's supposed to be the feeder programs, at least here in the city. Same down in Racine, they have some youth programs, but it seems like once these kids get a little older, they decide, you know what, I'm not going to put that kind of commitment in. And there is a significant kids in the city.
There's a significant commitment to it.
There is.
And it's funny, you bring that up.
Equity is what it's called.
You bring that up, and now Racine is not at the point of where Milwaukee necessarily is, but you talk to like a Milwaukee coach that coaches in the city, right? And you talk about what their practices are like, and these kids think it's like the toughest thing ever. And I had one coach tell me, Sparky, I want to bring them to a public school practice, like a Whitefish Bay practice or a Wisconsin Lutheran practice, and let them see just what they go through in their little training camp before summer and what those coaches put them through versus what we're doing that they think is so difficult. It's not even close to what these other schools do. And I don't know how you fix that. I really don't. I think part of it, Mike, and maybe I'm wrong about this, is, at least for Milwaukee, and Racine isn't as close to being Milwaukee as having a bad year, but they just look at it and go, I don't want to go there and lose. I don't want to go there and get my brains beat in, and I think it becomes an ego thing. You don't want to lose, you don't want to go through it, but if I go play basketball, I got a chance to win state. I got a chance to be really good. I think that is the biggest difference. They can't get themselves over the hump, and what needs to happen is, and should have happened this year, is you need bigger name coaches to go in there and try and fix it. You just do. Guys that have been out of the suburbs, have had success, to go in there and go, look, I've won a state title, I've done this, I've done that, I want to come in here and help.
And talking about the city of Milwaukee?
Yes. Yeah, and they had an opportunity to get one.
Right.
You did. But we're not going to get into that.
We can't.
No. He is Mike McGivern. I am Steve Sparky Fifer. Thanks for tuning in another edition of High School Sports Junkies. That's the name of the show. Here at RacineSportsZone.com. Big Time's back with us again next week. We'll talk to you then.